Today, I'm very happy to welcome Ludwig von Busse, co-founder and CEO of Simplifa, as our guest. Welcome to the show, Ludwig.
Thank you very much for the invitation and for having me.
Sure. So tell me about your company, Simplifa. What are you doing?
Well, yeah, Simplifa is, I founded Simplifa for the reason to make the operation of elevators more easier for all stakeholders, because elevators, as everybody knows, serve as a transportation system in buildings in our cities. So they are quite a relevant stake or a part in a building. And most of the elevators are quite old, at least in Europe they are, and in Germany, and they are lacking attention and management attention when it comes to operation and to investments. And everything is quite intransparent. You have 4 big companies which are like owning the market. You have then lots of regional companies. And most of all, the side who owns a building has no clue of elevators, and the side who is servicing elevators, they're quite engineer focused. And so both parts don't get along quite well with another. So they're different. There's a lot of pain when it comes to servicing elevators. And we want to change that by gathering all data, making them transparent, and then being a kind of medical expert for elevators, to then be able to manage elevators in the way they should be managed.
Mm-hmm. So I know, I saw some how do you say? I saw how you implement it basically, and it's really cool because you can have a look into the elevator. You know from far away if there's something wrong, and you get a signal. Hey guys, please send someone over. This cable doesn't look nice. So I could feel safer, so to say, if I ride in the elevator that you are servicing.
Yeah, you're completely right. We have a digital twin. So out of an old existing elevator in a building, we built digital twins with data, with pictures and 360 degrees. It's like we have a data Dropbox. We have a kind of Google Street View for elevators, so you can drive the elevator without going there. And then we have a sensoric box, which is kind of a Fitbit, wearable for elevators, so we can gather the data and the actual life status. And then we have an expert team which analyzes all these things and gives recommendations on what to do in the future. Yeah,
awesome. And what is your job at Simplifa?
Well, me as a co-founder and then CEO, I would say my special job is to motivate, and I'm there for the spirit of the team, to look out that everybody feels good, that everybody is motivated to do their respective job. I'm more the face of Simplifa. At Simplifa, I'm in charge of sales, of business development and marketing. So I'm more or less the chief evangelist for elevators in the market. And in the end, it's showing the company, and by showing it, growing the company.
Yeah, but basically you're responsible also for marketing and sales then.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So you're the right person to talk to for our show here.
Yeah, hopefully.
Can you give me a proxy of the size or growth of Simplifa? Be it like revenue or number of customers or employees or funding?
Well, yeah, we started in 2013 with me and Hubertus as first team members. And now we have a size of approximately 60 team members. And our revenue is, 7-digit, some 2 million this year. We are funded through angels and VCs.
And how fast are you growing? So, for example, from 2019 to 20 or 20 to 21 approximately.
Well, we are doubling our revenues in the moment.
Very good. How big is your sales team and how is it structured?
Well, the size of the sales team changed quite a lot in the last month, and we will come to that after.
Yes.
But at the moment, we have a total of 6 people.
Okay. And what kind of jobs do these 6 people have roughly?
We have implemented a new sales structure in the last year due to COVID too, and we have 4 main steps in our sales process. The first step is validating and qualifying leads. Then this step hands over to the SDR department, which do then call and get in touch with the leads, and then they hand over to the sales rep or account executive team. And if we manage, and hopefully we do, to gather new clients, we then hand over to the onboarding team. So we have
it's a quite classic structure, like
yes,
business development, then sales development that qualifies, account executives that close, and then customer success to basically onboard and make sure the customer is happy. Cool.
Exactly.
What geographical markets are you serving?
Well, at the moment, our main market is Germany, but we are present in the so-called DACH region. So it's Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So the German-speaking European market, because it's quite a big market, and due to the language, it's easy to focus on that region. But we're aiming to going international with our clients in Europe at least. Because, well, mainly the bigger clients own portfolios and real estate portfolios not only in Germany, but they're international companies. They're globally. So we try to, and we achieve to manage to grow with them together. That's our vision for the next 2 years.
Very good. And who's your ideal customer?
Well, broadly speaking, everybody who owns or who operates an elevator. So, if we have 2 main streams, we have the commercial and we have the residential part in real estate. And coming to the residential part, we have our ideal customer is the one who owns and operates the building itself. So in Germany, we have customers, we call them Bestandshalter, so those who operate and have everything included internally, so nothing outsourced with property management and facility management. They do everything by their own, because we speak with a decider actually, and he feels the outcomes of our business on a long-term view, because an elevator is a long-term technical part of the building, and so our service is focused on a long-term base. And on the commercial side, our ideal customer is the asset management company. So like the asset manager of insurance companies or of banking facilities and so on.
Very nice. Yeah, so that reminded me basically of the good old razor system. You buy a razor and usually that is cheap, but then you make money with the blades. And that was the business case for ThyssenKrupp and all these elevator companies. They could basically
still is.
Or still is, yeah. Well, you're disrupting that, but they made money by selling, and they make even more money, I would guess, by operating it from the long term, because there's no one else doing that up to now, at least.
Yeah, and on the other hand, those who need to buy the services, they can't really know what if the service is adequate and is as the right price, or so they mostly can do what they want. They can tell you any price, and you need to accept that. And we want to change that. I'm really interested. We have an elevator here in the house. How much does it cost to service one elevator in a year? Well, if you look on average for 5 to 10 years, you can say that it's between 3,000 and 4,000 euro a year.
Wow, that's a nice return that you have basically.
Well, yeah, it is the one of the top 5 cost factors in a building actually, and so it's really relevant that you get into it and you get into the driving seat to manage the operations and to understand why you spend so much money, and if these spendings are like optimal for you and the individual elevator.
Now I understand why you also get, I mean, you're fast growing, but it's an interesting market. So I think VCs call it property tech or prop tech.
Prop tech, yes.
Yeah, prop tech. So that is quite interesting. Now, why you said beforehand that B2B in your view, B2B sales or B2B is not that much different than B2B sales. B2C
Yes.
sales, sorry. So B2B is not that much different than B2C sales. Why is that in your point of view?
Well, on my opinion, and actually due to COVID, there was an acceleration in that trend I experienced. Because if I see me as a potential customer for other services, I not only look on the services, but I look on the persons behind that. And I think that B2C is getting more emotional, and it's getting more personalized sales. I want to have a personalized sales experience. So it is, and getting a person or a buying department, it exists out of person. So, and the person has some feelings, and I don't know, they have a certain behavior, and I need to adapt to that behavior. I need to catch him as a person, then to then sell him something. And I think that's one main thing. And there's a well, the timely thing is something which is very important too. And I think that you need to be quicker. And B2C has a much quicker and accelerating factor than B2B sales. And yeah, these I think are the main factors.
So
you need to get more emotions, and you need to be more personalized to get at the person who is actually deciding which service is bought and used and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the end, it's always someone within a corporation. I mean, you're talking to bigger companies most of the times. I mean, some of them are smaller, but the interesting ones are bigger. And then you have to convince the first person so that you can have one foot in the door, so to say. And then there's probably more people that you have to convince, but in the end, that one person has to be your evangelist.
That's true. I think well before COVID, and hopefully now we are getting to that again. But the B2C factor was the networking events, the events where people met, where people get to know each other. They had a drink, they had a finger food, and they got to know on a small talk base. And now through COVID, that wasn't possible anymore. So the personal factor had a big issue, or there was a lack of personal contact. And that's why B2C was got into place to then get in contact on a personal way, maybe. And so before, you always sell better and with more confidence if you know the person behind that. And because you get a feeling that you can call him, you can talk to him, you have somebody, you have a face behind the product, and I think that's important.
So how do you execute on that notion in practice at Simplifa?
Well, that's a good question, because we are actually building up a new strategy on how we want to do that. And it is well, you need to analyze your key customers very much, and who's behind that, and then getting a little bit away from your product and focusing on the actual situation the person or the company is in, and to focus on the kind of pain he has at the moment, and then to address concepts and solutions on how to minimize his pain, and act well on a perfect way. Your product is actually helping to minimize his pains, and then you're getting away from the actual selling him. You're getting to hit to German. You're getting to helping him improving, and so you're not selling anymore. You're helping.
Yeah, I love what you say. Basically, let's put it this way. Can you give us a hands-on example, like one really hands-on example on how you do that? Because I think then, in theory, it's understandable, but I think it's really interesting to see, like, take one persona and just go through the notion of what you do at each step. That would be really cool.
So, yeah, so what we do is well, when we were a little younger and less experienced, we sold by telling, well, we digitalize elevators and we help you optimizing your cost by 30% and on and on and on. We had a focus on our product, which we were proud of, and we are still, but the customer didn't really know on how to use that in his daily life. So now we're changing that, and we're getting in touch with the customer by making a kind of diagnose with him. So we are questioning a lot of how he does his business, how he uses elevators, what kind of buildings he has, what kind of usage these buildings have. So getting a lot of information from the actual potential lead, which tells us where we might help, or if we can or not help, which is true in some cases. But then by diagnosing him, we can then try, and we can help him to get or to view or to realize that he has some kind of parts where he can optimize things, because he realizes that he has a pain with an elevator, that he has maybe not the right, he doesn't really know the costs of an elevator. So it might be interesting to getting to know the costs and the budget for the next years. And by doing that, we are involving the customer with his actual topic he is in charge of. And then we build a concept along with our services and our products, which show him that he realized he has a pain, and we show him how we can minimize or get rid of the pain by using us as a company, as a team, as a service. And then we are in a phase where together with the customers we create a concept, and along with the concept we have KPIs. So we have a key metrics where we then, by delivering the service, can measure ourselves if we achieve our goals together. And in the end, we want to help customers. We want to optimize them. We want to get them to know their elevators. And so we are in a very, very, very tight involvement. And in the end, we sold something, but the customer didn't really what he realizes. Yes, but he knows why. You know. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I.
No, that was quite understandable. There were several points, and I tried to deconstruct it a little bit. And you tell me if I got it right. So the first step is analyzing your customer's pain and involving him by maybe even helping him or her to find out what pains they really have. So that is the first step. And you work a lot with asking questions.
Yes. And then if we have a pain, for example, one of the first questions we ask is, do you know how many elevators you have in your portfolio? And in now 15 years of doing business in elevators, I never came along a customer or a person who did know how the exact number of elevators he has. So I know that this answer cannot be answered. So he realizes, well, I don't really know how many elevators I have. So I don't really know how much my elevators costs. And there's a pain. And now I try to tag the pain with the price. So
let's play a game. Let's play a game, Ludwig. I'm a potential customer. You asked me this first question. I say, I have no clue how many elevators I have. Let me check. I check. I may be able to find it out, come back with and say, I have 35 elevators.
So 35 elevators is a nice sum of elevators. So now we can multiply the average cost, which I told you, 3,000 to 4,000 euro, and then asking, well, do you know how much your elevators cost? Do you know why they cost 3,000 to 4,000 euro? So to benchmark his system and to tell him, well, do you know how old your elevators are and what kind of investment budgets you need to keep these elevators running in the future? And or do you know if you, with your 35 elevators, comply to all the code inspection and to the legislation norms and things like that. And then we go through all these things, and we ask then, well, which of these elevators is how many callbacks or defects has this elevator? Or do you know that, how many they have in average?
I have no clue.
So you see, we can analyze that, and then we can come along with statistics, with benchmarks, and tell you, well, on average, an elevator in Germany has 2 defects a year. So, and each defect costs money. So by not knowing how much defects you have, you don't know how to optimize them, or if your portfolio is doing great. And so, and after each pane, we analyze. We can put behind a cost factor. So in the end, hopefully, after we concluded with a diagnose, we have a cost of pain, which tells the customer what he misses out without using us.
So that's a big cost of doing nothing. I mean, that's something that a lot of B2B sellers are selling against. It's not a competition, usually. I think most of the time you're selling against the status quo of doing nothing. Yes. And that's really good what you're doing. You're basically giving them an idea of how much it does cost if they do nothing, and how much they could save in costs and in safety, so to say, compliance.
Yes, how can we support him and his pain to reduce these costs of doing nothing, or of missing out something, or of not knowing something? And what in an optimal case, I think we have 4 pain factors. We have the direct costs related to the elevator, so operating costs, installation costs, and repair costs, and stuff like that. And the second factor is the process cost. So how much time do you need on processing, paying, checking invoices, bargaining offers, and so on? So there's somebody in the team on the side of the customer who is doing this at the moment, who is processing the events around an elevator, and this costs time, this costs resources. So how big are these costs? So we have indirect costs, direct costs. Then we have the pain of risk. So what kind of risk, what could cost him something because he misses out some legislation things. So if happens something with elevators and the police comes, how much it could cost because he missed something out he should have done. And then we have a potential.
Or worst case, even like just something happens and they didn't check, and they are reliable for some people getting injured. I mean, I get that point. Yes. Okay, and the last one?
And the last one is the potential side. So how much of maybe income we can give him on a plus side that he missed out today. For example, it's getting technical now, but we have old elevators. And each of these elevators, they have a machine room, and this machine room is situated in the down floor or on the upper floor. So there's a room on approximately 10 to 15 square meters, which is used by machines, and it costs something. Now, through new technique possibilities, we can get rid of the machine room. So not of the room, but of the technique sitting in the machine room. And by getting rid of the technique and putting it into the shaft itself, there's a free room in the building of 10 to 15 square meters.
Well, you can rent it out in Munich for 500
exactly.
euros. That's crazy.
Yes. That's it. That's crazy. And because of elevators mostly are in the city. So companies like Amazon, like the German Post, or you name it, they actually could use that as a spare part, as a whatever. And so you can earn money with something you didn't before. So there's a potential, and there are other potential revenue cases that he is maybe missing out, and this is a pain. And by using us and having an expert on his side, he maybe can realize these potential factors. Or
I'm curious, which of these 4 areas are the ones like hitting best when you try to like hook someone as a customer in the beginning? So is it like the risk aversion of not like losing something, or is it like more the I want to win something? What is resonating?
It's a very good question. It depends a little bit on the customer. If you look on the commercial side, we have the risk factor, so the reliability and the legislation part. So that's being reliable and being reportable on that I did everything I could to getting nobody injured, and then that comes to the cost part. For exactly, so direct cost, and we can reduce that by approximately 30%. And if you come to the residential part, the cost factor obviously is the biggest winning point, together with the process costs, because at the moment somebody is processing and checking invoices, which he really can't do. So he puts a stamp on it without knowing on what he does it. So what kind of document he can check the name, if the name is right, or if maybe the price is right. But if the price is okay for the in comparison to the market, he can't check that because it's such a niche. You need to have the knowledge on how much a door drive costs and on how many hours you need to install a door drive. And so a normal person, if I bring my car into a garage, this guy could tell me everything, and I would say, well, yeah, please do it. And if he tells me it costs 10,000 euro, I believe him. I need to believe him, and because I can't compare, and that's even more true with elevators. And so, yeah, cost factors is the biggest selling point, actually, also biggest pain which we can address.
Okay, very interesting. So you have 2 quite very interesting target groups. Where do you on what channels do you reach these 2 different target groups, like the commercial side and then the residential side, basically, of your target market?
There are 2 perspectives, one before COVID and one within COVID.
Yeah.
Before that, we had quite an event-driven selling process. So we went to fairs, we went to conferences, we went to networking events to get in touch and try to get as much as how you call those cards?
Business cards.
Business cards, yes, exactly. Thank you. So that was the first way of getting in touch with customers. And now we have 2 different streams. We have the stream residential. We're doing by cold calling them. So landlords, property managers, we are cold calling them. And the commercial side is mainly addressed through LinkedIn. And in Germany, we have Xing as a second platform, but Xing isn't that, well, you know it better than me, is not the best platform on addressing people.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is much more convenient and
for several
usable.
Reasons. Yeah, definitely. So thanks a lot for that. So you told me beforehand that you did a drastic shift in the last 12 months within your sales organization, and you restructured it. So can you tell us about your key 5, like what you did first, and then your key 5 learnings out of this restructuring that you took out of it, basically?
Yeah, sure. Because of COVID, we realized that gathering business cards isn't able anymore because no event was taking place. And then after the stock of business cards was implemented into our Salesforce, we needed to gather new leads. And so we came up with the idea to try cold calling. And at the same time, I restructured the sales process we already analyzed and spoke about. So in these 4 phases, in diagnosing, then building up a kind of concept, and then delivering the service and getting into the after sales in the end. And along to these 4 steps, we came up to have this common sense structure of having a lead generation and qualification part, and then SDR, account executives, and onboarding. And we started that in Q4 last year. And yeah, it was a try. And I was skeptical in the first place, because cold calling has not the best image in the market. But we tried, and it worked actually. And so we tried to, well, yeah, accelerate the recruitment process and build up this team, and to get into, yeah, a kind of acceleration process. And then at the same time, we started to acquire on a cold texting base through LinkedIn to the commercial side. So we address both sides on a cold base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the last one, you're doing it with us, with our company, so I know that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you deep dive a little bit into the cold calling?
Yeah, so you talked and you asked about the learnings. And,
sorry. So let's park that question. Yeah. You keep on going with the learnings. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so we because we were new on that stage by doing cold calling, and I talked a lot to other companies who had more experience than us, and talked to experts and sales experts and so on. And we try, and that's one big thing, I think, startups or scale-ups, or however you call younger companies, you need to avoid mistakes to get to be quicker and to save costs in the end. There were 5 learnings that they came up to us out of different talks. And the first was, and that was true for us in the beginning, there was a lack of a management system. So we had no real process and structure in our sales team. So we came up with this structure I told before, and I explained before. And by having this structure,
just to remind us, the structure was: you have business development that gets the leads, you have sales development reps who have the first call, you have AEs, account executives, who then take the qualified ones who close the deal, and then you have the customer success team that helps the customers on board.
Yes, true, okay, exactly. And we were missing out a lack structure in that before, and we were missing out clear KPIs for each of these teams. And we installed that and created playbooks for each of these stages, and clear vision and stages. So we were working with V2MAM. It's a business and management tool invented by Martin Benninghoff, the founder of Salesforce. And each of us and each team member has his own V2MAM, and so he knows what to do, and he knows how we measure him. And so there's a clear team vision on how to work. That was the first learning, that this really helps, and I would recommend everybody to do that in the same way.
So just for 1 second, for the ones who don't know exactly what V2MAM is, it's kind of similar to OKRs from Google. The system is always kind of the same. You have like objectives, the goals you want to achieve, and you have KPIs that help you measure and see if you achieve those goals, and you break them down by team member or team, or maybe you start with the company, then break it down to the team, then break it down to on a personal level. And then as a manager or owner, you can basically see, okay, where are my red flags, or where is everything running smoothly? And then you can.
Yeah, and it's completely right. It's a V2, it's like vision and values, and M stands for methods, O for obstacles, and M for measurements. And our company has a V2MAM, and it's supposed to be a V2MAM for 1 year. So you have a vision, what do you want to achieve in this respective year? And then each department needs to contribute to that vision and to that goal. And so each department has his specific V2MAM, and then in this respective department, we have the team members, which then each of us in our company has his personal V2MAM. And everybody can look into the V2MAMs of the others. So it's very transparent, and everybody knows what kind of focus the other part has, and then to understand why he is maybe working, or why he's maybe prioritizing something else than I would like him to do, because he has his visions and his measurements, and that I think it's a very, very useful tool to align everybody to in the same direction. And then you can adjust the things, because, well, COVID came 1.5 years ago. It was an external factor which we hadn't on our screen, so we had to adapt our V2MOM because we had to change things. And maybe you achieve your goals before the end of the year, so you can add new goals, and it's a lively and agile system. It's very helpful for us. And that was the fundament of getting into KPIs. And yeah, so introducing KPIs and a structure was for sales was a big thing, and we created playbooks, as I told, and tools for each of these steps, so everybody knows what to do, and then to be scalable on a very short way. And we introduced an incentive scheme which was motivating the team as a whole thing. So that was the first learning.
Can you deep dive shortly into the incentive scheme?
Yeah, so
how does it look like for each persona roughly?
So we have an incentive scheme starting with the SDR team, and the SDR team is incentivized. Is getting incentive for getting demos and getting meetings with customers if these meetings are really actually taking place. So a no-show meeting is no incentive for the SDR. And if then out of the demo there is an opportunity coming, so the sales rep and the client and the customer decide, well, it is interesting, there's a pain, we can help him to minimize the pain. If this is then, if the sales rep out of the meeting open up a new opportunity, the SDR is incentivized a second time. So we have a clear involvement and a dependence in the team. So we try to focus on getting qualified demos, not just getting demos and then having no closures, but getting real qualified meetings. And then the sales rep is getting incentive by closure. It's per elevator. So our main KPI is elevators, and so each new elevator is an incentive for the sales rep. And then in the end, in the onboarding, we have we incentive the qualified, so the time in which we want to onboard a customer. And if the onboarding department is managing to onboard the customer in, I don't know, it's 8 weeks, I think, yes, it's 8 weeks, they get an incentive. And if, that's it, yeah. And no, it's not. The second thing is that if there was a handover meeting executed with KPIs I talked before, which were which were created together with the customer. So what do we together want to achieve in doing business together? So by being onboarded, by gathering all the data out of the elevators, we see the actual status quo of the elevators, and by knowing the health status of the elevator, we can decide on what to do next to optimize the health status. And by fixing these KPIs, by delivering then our service, we know on how to measure if our service is helpful or not.
That is super important. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the last point is something that we also learned on our journey. If you don't do that correctly, if you don't align with your customer on what kind of KPIs you want to achieve, you have a big problem later on, and you have to get on board all the stakeholders involved in making the decision if they want to continue with you or not. It's not only one person, and maybe you didn't in person meet the other decision makers in the back end, so to say, but it's very important that you align on the KPIs that all the decision makers want to achieve, to have realistic KPIs, because if you don't, you might sell and you have a customer and you're happy, and the one person that you sell to is happy, but the stakeholder in the back end says, I expected something totally different. We have to stop this. And then you lost the customer, not because you did a bad job, but because you didn't do that simple exercise in the beginning.
Yeah, it's completely right, because in the end, we are a service company on behalf of the landlord or the owner of the building, and we want to be a long-term partner. So we need to be sustainable in our service delivery. We need to be trustful. We need to be transparent, and that's what we tell him. We are making your elevators transparent by gathering the data of your elevators, and so we need to be transparent too, to be trustful. And so it is if we talk internally, we tell our team to build up a small V2MAN with the customer. So, to have a vision. What do we want to achieve in your elevator portfolio in Germany or in Munich or in Hamburg? And what are the measurements we want to talk about after 1 year, and see if our business helped to improve or not. And if not, and we see that through data, we can adjust figures. And so there's a close communication loop, because it's incremental, and it's crucial in the 12 first month, because the customer doesn't know you. Well, he maybe believes you because he got to know through marketing and B2C and B2B that you're trustful, and he likes you because maybe you're, you have interests together, because, well, you have the personalized selling experience. But then you hand over. There's a team behind you, and you need to, I don't know how you see that. Say that in English. It's the Vorschuss, Vertrauensvorschuss. It's
they trust you upfront, and we earn the trust by delivering on what you promised.
True. Yeah, and he has to understand why you achieved it and why maybe you didn't, and if you can, by changing things, can achieve it. And so you're getting a valuable partner on a long-term base, and we want to be that. And with our customers, we see that this is working.
Yeah, there's a very simple saying that holds true in life. Happiness is expectation minus reality. And you have to set the expectations right, and you have to deliver on those expectations afterwards. And if you do that right, you have a long-term client, as you said. If you do that wrong, you lose that one, even though you might have done the perfect job, and there's no way anybody could have done it better.
And it's true. It's completely true. And you have to talk about mistakes. And it's the way you talk about these things. And if you say, well, I'm sorry, I did something wrong, I missed something out, I don't know. It's crucial to be honest with the customer. And what I wanted to say, to have in mind that what can go wrong goes wrong. It's true for the beginning. What if there is something which can go wrong? It will go wrong. So you need to have this to talk about the expectation, and to tell them, well, there might be something. So if, for example, if you go to a hospital and you have a surgery, the doctor will tell you what might go wrong, so that there might be some downsides of doing that. So and that's a risk you take by working together, and you need to talk about the risks of a team too. And by doing that, you gain trust, and there's no surprising effect on the backside of your service. So because you talked about you actual difficult to explain that you aligned him with your experience. We had this experience with different customers
you have so many clients, and for them it's the first one, but you have so many clients, and you know what can happen. And if you take them by the hand and tell them, look, this is our goal, this is what we can achieve together. There are some things that could go wrong. We try to minimize that risk, but if it happens, we know how to go on from that point. That earns trust, and that is so crucial. And also being vulnerable in the sense that some things you don't know if they work. So you have to say, we try it out, but it might not work, but we know what to do if it doesn't work,
Yeah, we know that because it's crucial to in the end, it's human. where you're working between humans, and humans make mistakes, and that's B2C more than B2B actually. By you're doing B2B by working B2C.
There's always people.
B2H. It's like human.
Yeah, human to human.
It's human to human, and so that's I think this is something which helps you a lot to keep the customer and go through maybe a downside phase with the customer, because he knows that you're doing everything to do things better in the future. So learning together, because I think it's mainly true for the digital business, because our service is something new. So it wasn't there before. So the customer can't know what he's up to with us in the future. And so it's like getting, I have this analogy that like you're staying with the customer side by side, having him in your hand, and you're in front of a forest where nobody was in before, and you have you have a knife, and you have a kind of it's like what's called a Säge. A saw, yes, thank you. And you know that on the other side of this forest there's a lagoon, or there's a very nice place, but and you know that you can reach that, and it will be really great getting there, but you need to go through this dark forest together, and you might expect things you didn't see before, and then you need to, and if somebody falls, you need to help it getting up again, and if there's a huge tree or a mountain, you need to get along or get beside the mountain together, and not failing together is learning together, and that's building trust. And this is really fun, making this journey together.
If you set it up right, it can be fun. If you don't do it, it's not fun at all. And so that's something super crucial that will help you keep your customers for the long term. So I definitely can tell you, we did it wrong in the beginning, also with our company. We learned from it, and we have the same knowledge now that you are taking. We are upfront on what we can do. We know that some things, we don't know what works sometimes, because we also had with something that no one did before. And you have to try it out together. And that earns a lot of trust.
You as your company are our guide in making LinkedIn leads. So we trust you as a company, that you as a guide helps us to learn things. And I think this guidance, customers want to have guidance, want to have somebody who tells him what to do, but he needs to understand it, why he tells him that. So and this kind of guidance is I think is very, very, very important.
An analogy is also being a trusted advisor, and trusted advisors also tell you what they don't know, but tell you what the process is on how to get there. And then it's also right now as the European Championship in soccer. We played a really bad match recently, Germany lost, but anyways, there is a plan forward, and people have to trust in the coach. Now, some people could say the coach should be replaced, and he will be, but in the end, people have to have trust in someone who has the reins, who says, this is our North Star, we try it out. If something fails, we try something new, but you have someone guiding you. And as you said before, you are the expert. Exactly. You are the expert. You have the benchmarks. You went through this problem 50, hundreds of times, thousands of times sometimes. So you know much better what could go wrong. And by being transparent, I think you even win more deals. I see it in calls that we have, in sales calls, that we are pretty honest on what we can do and what we don't know yet, but how we can maybe get to the right place, as you said. And customers tell us, well, I talk to other companies who do maybe some parts of what you do similarly, but they promise me something. They promise you get this amount of leads for sure, no matter what. And we can shorten your sales cycle from 3 months to 5 days or whatever. And they say, that's not realistic. We don't trust these guys. So I think you, as you said, if you're open and transparent about what could go wrong, it's not like people say, oh, then I don't work with you. It's the other way around. They say, okay, he's quite honest also about what they don't know. And they are the trusted advisors who take us by the hand and guide us through this dark forest, as you said.
And this is, I think, yeah, I think it's completely true, and that's our mindset on doing and on talking to customers. If I tell them, well, you know, if we try something and we see that we can't achieve it, then let's stop the thing, because it's a conclusion that we can't do it, that there's no possibility to optimize your portfolio, and then it's maybe we need to revise our services or product or whatever. But why should you suffer of something that we couldn't achieve? So let's talk about it straight, and a no often is the first step for yes in the future.
Absolutely, and what you also said is also true. Letting customers go who you cannot help. So don't clinch to every euro of revenue for the sake of having revenue. No. Maybe saying no if you know that is not the right fit. And you also learn, you know, maybe that is not the ideal customer profile in the end, because somehow the ones who don't work always have the similar traits, and then you avoid these traits in the future, but you rather say no now and maybe even pay money back, and then you earn some trust in the market.
Yeah. Completely
so
agree.
We're already at the end of our conversation, which is kind of sad, because I would have had so many more questions. But now let's go to our 5 rapid fire questions, Ludwig.
We didn't really ended up with the 5 learnings actually, but maybe
maybe you can sum it up.
Well, yeah, sum it up. I will quickly sum it up to have this part. Yeah. So the third learning was to leverage your CRM system. So if you have Pipedrive, Salesforce, or whatever system in place, you need to leverage this system to be your most important dude or mate in your company, and to empower everybody in your team to talk and to work with this CRM system. So use it, and if you use it, this system has no flu, has no holiday, it works and helps you to have an overview of your team. The fourth learning was to at the beginning not outsource sales process things, because you need to learn it before you outsource it. So you need to know on what to talk about. So by having learned it, having experienced yourself, and if you are 100% sure that your process is you know your processes, you maybe can outsource it to other companies. And the fifth learning is that you need to look behind the front line of your sales, so that after the sales, after the actual sales, there's the after sales. So there's this life cycle with the customer, and getting the customer involved and develop the customers. And we are not a one-timer, we are a long-term partner, and so we need to be able to keep him involved. And so yeah, that was the 5 learnings.
Thanks a lot, Ludwig, for wrapping it up so quickly. So let's get to our 5 rapid fire questions. What do you do to keep body and mind fit and sharp?
Well, the first thing is family. So my children, and then my wife, and then comes music and wine, drinking good wine in the evenings, and talking to friends and being involved in our and my social network. That keeps my mind up, and it's kind of a reset. Having a good glass of wine with my wife is a reset button in the evening.
Very nice. Do you have a favorite business book?
Yes, I do have, and I need to have because I always forget, even if it's my favorite one. It's Joy Inc. Joy Inc. by Richard Sheridan. It's a book about a software company in the US and how he built that company up. This is one, and the other one is Managing Complex Sales by Jeff Tull.
Very good. We put it into the show notes. Do you have a favorite business leader that you follow?
Well, that question I thought about a lot, but I came up that I don't really have one special business leader. I think that I look at many different ones, and at very experienced ones, and as very crazy ones like Elon Musk, but even though, and also at young leaders, because you can learn from each of them. And I think getting to look at more than one gives you more puzzle pieces, which you can like maybe fit to your puzzle picture. And so, yeah, it's a mixture of experienced and unexperienced person and people in different businesses.
Very good. Who should be our next podcast guest and why?
Well, that's a good question, and I came up with one person who I think is he's a very nice guy, and he is yeah, very well. He is one of the yeah, bigger startups and maybe scale-ups in Europe in the PropTech business, and he's one of the founders of Planradar, which is an Austrian company, and he is its Ibrahim Imam, and he is well, they did manage to build up quite a big sales structure and to come up with a product which well, yeah, it's a great product for nearly everybody in this business, and that's a great thing. And so they have a huge potential in the market. They are international, and they're doing that on a very smart way. So this could be one person. And yeah, the other one, there might be a female one too, which is Donata Hopfen, and she's the digital I don't know the real position, but he's a BCG Digital Ventures here in Berlin, and she was at Bild, head of the Bild Redaktion, a big German newspaper, and she is a very smart and yeah, experienced sales and marketing woman.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for the tips. We will get in touch with both and try to win them for our show here. So now you can directly address our audience. Anything that we can help you with, Ludwig?
Well, well, I think this is a great format, and by hearing the podcast you did before, you get a lot of views into different things and best practices, and I would love to get in touch to people and companies who where we can share best practices, where we can maybe learn from other businesses and on how to maybe implement things to our business, and maybe we can teach somebody and share ideas. And I think this is very crucial in a time which is so wildly and quickly evolving in all different things. So I would love to somehow build up a community where you can chat and ask questions, answer questions. And so, yeah, that would be something which would help me as a founder, as a team leader, as somebody who is in charge of sales and business development to yeah, to keep in touch with the news trends.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's something I have in mind, and you tell me something that I want to push forward anyways now. Building a community of sales and marketing leaders, like a closed community, so not everybody, but people who really fit in can connect, and we will figure out how to do it efficiently, because all of you don't have a lot of time, but you want to connect, and we tried it out with some of our customers recently, and you were part of that. I think it was good. But I think you can do it bigger, and I think that people can learn from one another. And there's one podcast I can refer to with Rob Gonzalez, the CEO of Simplifa, and he talked about community building. And they do it for their customer base, like CEOs of big retail companies that do over 1 billion of revenue. And they were super successful with that. And I think that is the future of sales somehow also, like building a community, enabling your target clients to experience something and learn from one another, and being the facilitator without selling anything. I mean, they will think about you if they have a problem you can solve. That's normal, I think, but you give something into the market, and yeah, thanks for the nudge here. We will fast track this one, Ludwig. Where can people get in touch with you?
Well, you get in touch with me on LinkedIn, on Xing, on Facebook, and on Twitter via Simplifa. If you want to, I can give you my phone number if you want to, or my email address.
Sure.
Should I send it to you, or
whatever you give me, I put it into the show notes, and people can directly get in touch with you. On LinkedIn, they can find you with Ludwig, Ludwig, and then von, VON, and then Busse, BUSSE. But we put your email, phone number, everything in the show notes, and let's see who will call you.
Great. I'm happy to get in touch with everybody.
Awesome. It was a pleasure to have you as our guest, Ludwig. Thanks a lot.
It was a
for
pleasure.
being here.
It was great fun. Thank you very much, Sammy. And I thank you for the team, for your team. And hopefully we talk to each other soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.